Welcome to a video on how to get started with MyStatLab and how to use the course resources, which are the guided student notebook, the pointers, and the IRA guides. This video is meant for students that are enrolled in my section of Stat 300 that is fully online. There are two key components to this course. There are the Canvas modules and the MyLab and Mastering. Ideally, you should be moving back and forth between the Canvas modules and the MyLab and Mastering in order to successfully complete this course. In the Canvas modules, you'll find general information such as learning objectives and tasks lists and due dates, the instructor emphasis for key topics, chapter resources such as the guided student notebook, pointers, and IRA guides, and some assignments are directly linked to the modules in Canvas, such as the discussion boards, surveys, and capstone project. There is a separate video in which I go over how the Canvas modules are structured in greater detail. In this video, we're going to be focusing on the MyLab and Mastering or MyStatLab component. This component is linked directly to Canvas. In the MyLab and Mastering, you'll find the interactive reading assignments, your online homework assignments, the proctored midterm and final exam, and optional practice and review assignments. Let's take a look at MyStatLab in greater detail. Here are the navigation steps on how to access MyStatLab, which is also known as MyLab and Learning. Log into Canvas, open your course, click on the MyLab and Learning link from the left side menu, and then click the button Open MyLab and Learning. When you click on the button to open MyLab and Learning, the main home page will open in a separate tab. So you should have Canvas open in one tab and MyLab and Learning open in a second tab. Here are some highlights from the main home page for your MyStatLab course. The preface to the student is a short video from the authors of your textbook that explains how to use this course effectively and efficiently. Under the interactive assignments, you'll find links to each chapter along with each section. Here you'll find the interactive reading assignment and homework assignment for each of your sections. The StatCrunch link will allow you to go straight to the StatCrunch website. The guided student notebook link will allow you to download the guided student notebook as PDF files or as Word documents. The eText link will link you to all of the interactive assignments in this course. So after the deadline passes, if there's any interactive assignment that you would like to review, simply come here, open the section, and it will take you to the corresponding IRA. You won't be able to affect your score, only review the content. In the Tools for Success, you'll find additional resources that have been provided to you from Pearson. You can see that you can download manuals on how to use your graphing calculator, Excel, and StatCrunch. The Assignments tab will allow you to access all of your assignments for this course, including the optional review and practice assignments. Let's take a look at the interactive reading assignments in greater detail. Together, the interactive reading assignments function as an interactive textbook. Students will watch video tutorials, read text passages, and then complete a series of problems to ensure understanding of the concepts. There are two types of problems: reading assessment problems, which are meant to check that you read and understood the passage. On these problems, you only receive one attempt. Then there are application problems, which allow you to work a similar problem that are based off example problems presented throughout the text. On these problems, you get multiple attempts. Let's take a look at an interactive reading assignment from Chapter 2. For this example, I'm going to take a look at the interactive reading assignment for Section 2.2. When the assignment first opens, you'll see a list of learning objectives and the problems that you need to complete. You'll click Start Assignment to start, or if you have to pause and return later, you click Continue Assignment. When the interactive assignment opens, You'll notice along the top, you'll see a list of learning objectives. This section is a fairly long section. There are 6 learning objectives. Sometimes the interactive assignment will have a section called Preparing for Section, in this case 2.2, where you'll be asked a series of questions that allow you to activate your background knowledge from previous topics. So in this case, I'm being asked a question about qualitative or quantitative data. That was covered in Chapter 1. If I need to, I can click to review the definitions of qualitative and quantitative and then answer the question. Click Check Answer. Once you've got it right, click the arrow on the right-hand side to move through the screens. When you get to the introduction page, there usually will be a short video, and then you can just click the right arrow to go on to the next page. As you move through the interactive assignment, you'll see definitions and example problems. Looking at this example problem from Chapter 2, it's going to show us how to construct a frequency histogram. If I click on the table, I can see the table of data. If I click Show Approach, it will slowly walk me through a written solution of the answer. Over on the right-hand side, I have 4 different options for watching a video solution. I can watch the by hand video solution, which will show me how to use the formulas to solve the problem. This is what I like to call the long way. You can watch a video on how to use your TI-84 calculator to solve the problem. You can watch a video on how to use StatCrunch to solve the problem. And this problem actually has the option to watch a video on how to use Excel to solve the problem. This last one is not always an option. Some things you cannot do with Excel. Under Technology Step by Step, if you click on the T, a separate window will pop up and you can see the step-by-step directions on how to solve this type of problem using your TI-84 calculator, StatCrunch, or Excel. Once you review the example, click on the arrow button to move on to the next screen. In this case, the next screen is a sample problem for you to solve, and it is very closely related to the example on the previous screen. Above the data set, if you click on the button, you'll see 3 options to open the data set in StatCrunch, copy it to the clipboard, or open it in Excel. I recommend that you work these problems using StatCrunch. Check your answer and then click the arrow to move on to the next screen. Occasionally you'll come across reading assessment questions. These are questions that you only get 1 attempt on. I can see that I only get 1 attempt on this question by looking down in the lower right-hand corner and it says Final Check. If it says Final Check and it's your first attempt, that means that you only get 1 attempt on this question. And the reason is that whatever question you're being asked was probably covered on the previous screen. So if you're unsure of the answer, you can always click back to the previous screen before choosing your answer and checking your work. When you get to the end, or if you need to stop halfway through and return later, click Save in the upper right to lock in all of your answers. To help you complete the interactive reading assignments, there are several resources available to you in Canvas. Specifically, there is the Guided Student Notebook, the pointers, and the IRA Guides. You can find the chapter resources by navigating to the Canvas course and clicking the tab that says Pointers and IRA Guides, or by going to the Modules link and then scrolling down until you find the Chapter Resources module. The chapter resources are also linked within each of your weekly modules. Here are the chapter resources for Chapter 2. I can download the Guided Student Notebook, and each section has pointers and an IRA guide. Let me go over how to use each one of these resources in a little bit greater detail. The guided student notebook coordinates with the screens on the interactive reading assignments. These will assist students with taking notes while completing the IRAs. Here's the guided student notebook for Chapter 2. You can see that there are 4 sections included in this guided student notebook because there are 4 sections in Chapter 2. The guided student notebook is meant to help you take notes as you're going through the interactive reading assignments. So you'll see that the objectives match what's covered on the screen, and you'll see the example problems and the data set. This helps you because you do not have to spend time writing down the actual problem set or taking notes on the data. All you need to do is just follow the directions in one of the example videos and take notes in the space provided. The guided student notebook is completely optional. You're not required to turn it in. It is only for your benefit to help you take notes on this class so you can refer back to them in later modules. The pointers are the professor's notes and definitions to help you through each section. The pointers also include step-by-step instructions on how to use StatCrunch. Here are the pointers for Section 2.2. They include the critical definitions and StatCrunch steps. The definitions and steps for StatCrunch are also included within the IRA. I include them separately so you can look at the key definitions and instructions on one page. The pointers are completely optional. They're only provided as an additional resource. The IRA Guides walk you through each interactive reading assignment screen by screen. The IRA Guides help you know which screens are important and which screens can be skipped. Here's the interactive reading assignment guide for Section 2.2. The first item says that on screen 1, the problem focuses on the difference between qualitative and quantitative variables. Refer back to Section 1.1 for help. If you remember back to when we opened the IRA for Section 2.2, I mentioned that the first screen was a review question to help activate your background knowledge. It asks you to review the difference between qualitative and quantitative variables. The IRA guide will tell you which section that background knowledge came from in case you need to review it. The interactive reading assignment is like reading the textbook. The interactive reading assignment guide is essentially my voice walking you through each screen in the IRA, telling you what's important and what can be skipped. The IRA guides are completely optional. They're only provided to help you figure out what's important and what's not. Once you complete the interactive reading assignment for the section, you'll be ready to move on to the homework assignment. Each homework assignment will give you the opportunity to check your understanding and apply the concepts from the interactive reading assignment to new problems. To access the homework for the section, navigate back to MyStatLab. Either go to the Interactive Assignments menu or the All Assignments menu and find the homework for Section 2.2. When the assignment first opens, you'll see how many problems there are to complete. Each homework assignment has anywhere from 5 to 15 problems to complete. When the homework assignment first opens, you may see an instructor tip that I've written to each of you. Read through my instructor tip, click close, and then you can begin the assignment. All of the questions on your homework assignment can be completed with as many attempts as you need in order to get the problem correct. Some questions require you to use data to answer a series of questions. To open the data set in StatCrunch, click on the table button and then click to open in StatCrunch or copy to the clipboard or open in Excel. I recommend that you use StatCrunch for all of the homework problems. For some questions under the question help, you'll be able to view an example or have the computer help you solve the problem. But a fair warning, when you use help me solve this or view an example, it will only show you how to do the problem by hand, which is the long way using the formulas. This is why I recommend that you take notes in your guided student notebook on how to solve the problem using StatCrunch So when you get to a problem on the homework, you'll be able to use StatCrunch to solve it. If you try to use the formulas, the homework assignment will take you much longer than it should. If you need additional help with StatCrunch while working on the homework, or really any part of this course, you can visit the StatCrunch Help Page in Canvas. These are additional video tutorials linked directly within each module that help you use StatCrunch to complete various tasks, such as creating graphics, calculating statistics, or carrying out a statistical test. To locate the StatCrunch Help Page, navigate back to the Canvas homepage and click on the button that says StatCrunch Help. You can also find links to the StatCrunch homepage directly linked within each module. So if I need help with StatCrunch for Chapter 2, I would click the StatCrunch Help for Chapter 2. On the StatCrunch Help page for Chapter 2, I would see additional help videos that pertain to the homework problems in Chapter 2. All of these topics are covered in the interactive reading assignment. I've linked additional videos here in case you need to reference them on one page while you're working on the homework assignment. One last final note, the chapter resources are optional. Please use the guided student notebook, pointers, and IRA guides at your discretion to help you be successful in this course. You may find some chapters are more or less challenging than others. When you find yourself being challenged, do not hesitate to utilize the resources available. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.